Hi, welcome back to the workshop for the third instalment of the P-base build. In the last episode we made some great progress on the body, so in this episode time to start working on the neck. Now the neck on this build is going to be interesting for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's a one-piece maple neck, meaning that the truss rod would have been inserted through a slot in the back of the neck and then a walnut fillet glued in place to close that back up again. This isn't particularly something I want to do on this build. To do that you have to build some relatively complex jigs, and I think I would probably only ever use them once on this guitar. So for me it's really not worth the time, the money and the effort to go through that. However, I do want that walnut fillet in the back of the neck because I want it to be fairly authentic. The main problem is if I use a modern truss rod is that I can't really see an effective way of inserting that through the back of the neck, so it's going to have to go in as normal through the front, which means I'm going to have to use a separate fingerboard. None of this is a real problem, it's just a little bit of a head scratcher. The advantage to doing it that way, of course, is that the fingerboard will fit into my slotting jig without me having to widen it to accommodate the bass neck. So that's as good a reason for me as any to kind of progress with this way of doing it. So to make this all work, I'm going to have to go through a couple of processes on this neck that I probably wouldn't do normally. So what I've done is I've prepared this neck blank. As you can see, it's quite big for a neck blank, but this is down to thickness now, minus the thickness of the fingerboard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it out for centre lines, etc. for my bass neck. I'm going to route a channel down the back and I'm going to fill that with a strip of walnut, giving me the skunk stripe. Once I've done that, I can flip it over, route another channel in the front of the neck for the truss rod, cut the neck out, and I should have absolutely loads of material in this section here left over to make the fingerboard out of. Now this might sound like a lot of trouble just to get that one detail of the skunk stripe, but it wouldn't be the same without it, so we're going to do it. So the first process that we need to go through with this then is to get the router out and route a channel 6mm, probably about 10mm deep, for the walnut splice to go in. Okay, so I've marked this board out with a centre line and the outline of the neck itself. I've also marked the nut line and the points where I want this channel to start and finish. So I'm going to now just clamp it in my tail vise. Nice and securely. Make those marks a bit bigger. I've already set my router up with the fence and I've set it to cut a 10mm deep channel. Okay, so that's the slot routed for the walnut splice. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip down a piece of walnut, a couple of mil thicker than this slot, cut it to length, clean the ends up, and then I'm going to stick it to the bench and plane it down until I get a very nice fit for here. Okay, so after quite a lot of faffing about, I've finally got this piece of walnut to be a really good tight fitting in that slot. So that leaves nothing more than to get the glue out and get this glued in. Okay, so this has been in clamps overnight, so the glue is good and dry, so I'm going to take the clamps off. And the next step is to just very quickly trim this down with a saw and then plane it smooth. Well, that was a little bit more of a mission than I was anticipating. It's quite hard to actually saw that out, but it's come out nice. There's no real visible gaps, so I'm happy with that. Obviously, this is way thicker than the neck's actually going to be, so we are going to take some of this material out as we kind of carve the neck, but for now that's all we need to do. So the next step is to now put the channel in for the truss rod. Okay, so I've transferred all my markings across to the front side of the neck now. You might not be able to see them in this light. And then marked out for the beginning and the end of the truss rod route. And I'm just going to set it up in my bench exactly the same as I did for the skunk stripe route. I haven't changed the settings on the router, so theoretically we should just be able to drop it on and route out the truss rod channel like we did the channel on the back. Okay, now we have the truss rod fitted, which means we can now get this to the bandsaw and get it cut to shape. Okay, so as we saw there, ran it through the bandsaw, kind of got it roughed out. I then sanded the end grain at the heel and the headstock on the disc sander till they were kind of on the line. If there's one place you're going to run into trouble when you're template routing, it's kind of on this end grain. So it makes sense to get as close as possible before you take it to the router. I'm actually loving that new router bit. It makes this job so much easier. Didn't really grab at all when I was doing this. So yeah, happy days. So I'm just going to take the template off and we can have a look and see what we've got. Okay, so we've got the template off this neck blank and it's actually made a really nice job of it. The perimeter cut from that new router cutter is so clean. So really happy with that. What I'm not quite so happy with though is that this neck blank has developed quite a substantial back bow. As I was cutting it on the bandsaw, I did notice that one piece of the waist was lifting really quite significantly as I was cutting it off. First thing to notice is how cold it is in the workshop at the moment. You can clearly see my breath when I blow the dust away. That might have an impact on this situation, I don't know. But if you just keep your eye on the end of the wood that I start cutting first as it passes through the bandsaw, you can quite clearly see it lifting up. And as I bring it round from this final cut, you'll see where I've circled in red exactly how much that has lifted. So I knew at that point there was some tension being released from this bit of wood, but it wasn't until I got it off the router and really had a close look at it that I could see that it is bowed. Now that's definitely a little bit suboptimal. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go from here. I have got another piece of timber that I could fashion another neck out of, but I might just have a sit down and think about how I might be able to effect a rescue on this neck blank. I don't like wasting material, but there's absolutely no point pressing on with a neck blank if you know from the outset that it's only ever going to be bent. So I'm going to have a think about this and I'll come back next time having made a decision whether I'm going to push on with this or make a new one. I did say at the outset of this video that the neck was going to throw up a few challenges. This wasn't one that I was expecting, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Timber by its very nature can be unpredictable, and this is just one of those occasions. It's actually the first time that I've had a neck blank go bad on me. It had to happen sooner or later. Anyway, I'll be back very soon, and whatever happens, we'll be pushing on with this build. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.